It's the weekly show about rAVe with the hottest news in the AV industry. It's rAVe TV. Give it up for Steph and Gary. Steph and Gary.
Hey, Steph, how are you?
I am good, Gary. How are you?
This means if we're talking live together, it means it's Wednesday at noon. That's noon Eastern. And in the United States, we come to you live. This is rAVe TV. I'm Gary K, and I'm joined with
Steph Beckett, also somewhere in the United States.
Yes, there you go. We are coming to you live on ravepubs.com, on youtube.com/ravepubs. We're also coming to you live on Facebook, Twitter, and on LinkedIn, actually broadcasting live in 5 different locations. We're the only live TV show that covers the commercial AV industry. We got some great guests today. Steph, what are you up to?
Oh, I'm just here, alive. I'm happy that, this has been a pretty trade show heavy year. I am so looking forward to the next wave of trade shows we have coming up this fall. I'm excited for launch week 6 we have coming up. More about that in a second. Gary, I know you have something exciting that you are doing this week.
Oh, yes. I am flying to Minneapolis tomorrow, and I'm going to the Minnesota-Ohio State game to watch Ohio State lose their opener. And then I'm heading to the Minnesota State Fair on Friday, which is in the United States. It's the largest state fair in the United States. Texas claims theirs is larger, but I have personal information. I know for a fact that I went to the Texas State Fair and the Minneapolis State Fair on the same year. Couple years ago, and I'm telling you, the Minneapolis State Fair is significantly larger than the Texas State Fair. So maybe Texas defines.
Did you measure it?
What?
Did you measure it meter by meter?
Well, I will tell you that Texas, if they are bigger, they're fudging it, and I'll tell you how they're fudging it. So when you go into Texas, they have this central area, and then they have these 4 different prongs you can go to, 4 different directions. But everything in each direction is exactly the same. So it's exact same ride, same exhibits. So it's the same thing times 4. Whereas in Minneapolis, there's no central prong. It's all over the place. And it's all different. You don't see the same thing twice. So, but my favorite thing is cheese curds. And they have, there's 2 things that are my favorite. They're cheese curds, but they have cheese curd tacos this year, which is going to be big. And I'm going to video this. I'm going to show you. But they have this thing. I forget who it is, but this company, they sell buckets of baby chocolate chip cookies, and I eat an entire bucket of those every year. So I save up. I don't eat a single thing. I don't eat anything in the morning. I go there early afternoon, and I just eat a giant bucket of cookies.
That sounds healthy to me.
This is my one day that I eat whatever the heck I want.
Whatever the heck you want. This is your one day. I was going to say
something else, and I realized we were live.
I'm pretty sure we have both cursed on here before, and the FCC has not gotten us yet.
We have a delay button. We're not delayed. That's the problem. We need a delay button. We're literally coming to you live, so we're not delayed.
So
anyway, I
anyways,
stopped myself.
Let's talk about the other Ekin news we've got. So launch week 6 is coming your way. It's going to be here from October 24th to 27th. And this is going to be such an exciting launch week. I hope you all join. We are separating it each by vertical. So there's going to be a UCC day, an Emerging Technologies day, a Pro AV day, and a Digital Signage day. So
I want to mention one thing about that. We're actually going to have a panel on supply chain issues.
Yeah.
We have 2 manufacturers that are duking it out publicly about different issues with regard to supply chain. They're going to be on the panel together. And I think a lot of us are concerned about what's going on with supply chain and whether we're going to have, this is going to continue to affect the growth of our market. Our market is been inhibited in growth because of we just can't get products. So we're having to be creative in the way that we put product. I talking to an integrator a couple of weeks ago who said that they were doing every system spec AV over IP and had to stop because they can't get the gear. They had to switch back to old style HDMI distribution in millions of dollars worth of systems. I talked to another integrator that was going Dante for all the audio systems, and they've flipped all their systems to non-Dante because they can't get the gear, and manufacturers can't ship the stuff fast enough. So this is a big issue, and we're going to have a panel, and we're going to talk about very specifically. I'm going to ask these brands specifically, when will you not have a problem? And ultimately, what's the trickle down effect of this? And I think it's slowed down some of the new tech, and some of the guests we have on today might have some opinions on that, because one of them is Netgear, and Netgear is obviously, leading the charge of AV over IP with AV specific and AV line specifics for our market of network gear. So I'd like to hear their opinion on it, and they'll be participating in the panel as well.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Other things we have coming up, we are going to be at CEDIA Expo, and we are so excited to be at CEDIA Expo in Dallas this year. It's going to be September 29th through October 1st. It's going to be just like a really great time to be in Dallas. And the home market is so exciting right now. I think it used to be called prosumer. Now everyone's calling it resi-mercial. I think that kind of interesting area, it's only growing as we continue to work from home. UCC is getting pulled into it. So there's like a lot of like new markets that home is kind of melting into. And so this is going to be just a fantastic year to go see all of that on the show floor. Megan Dutta also wrote a really great article about like 5 things that she expects to see at this CEDIA Expo. And those include, of course, an action-packed show floor. There's going to be plenty of educational opportunities.
I'm actually surprised. I'm going to ask Chris Lyons this when he comes on, why some of the big brands in the commercial market aren't accommodating work from home as much as they should. I think that, that Shure has started to, but I think there's a lot of opportunity there for them to do a lot more in the work from home market. Like I would love to have, I love this mic. This is the best investment I made right here. This is a great product. Okay. But the truth of the matter is I don't sit still, and I like to do a lot of things, and I'm doing a lot of things. And when I'm presenting, wouldn't it be nice if I had a at-home mic array where I didn't have to have this more directional mic, and had a mic array, but also had cameras that were smart enough to pick me up in different locations that are not specifically designed for a room, meaning as I move around, they're not designed for a room.
You're like a pacer too.
I'm definitely a pacer. Like you were a student of mine at UNC, and they had to move the podiums in the room that I taught in. They literally had to move them out of the room. Yeah, because
you would just be taking laps, like.
I just can't stand. I'm ADHD. I can't stand. I can't sit still or stand. I'm a proud admitter of that, and I just can't stand still, and I just gotta keep moving around. So I have a hard time. Carrie sends me messages, and Mandy used to send me messages like, "You're swinging too much in your chair, Gary." So they, I was on a live broadcast one time, and they took my wheelchair away, the chair with wheels on it, and put one of those ones that didn't have wheels on it. So I sat on the edge of it.
Stop! Oh my gosh.
So, anyway.
Well.
Go ahead.
Anywho, Gary, he's pretty stationary today. So DSC is also coming up. That is November 17th through 19th, and that is once again in Las Vegas. So we're very excited to be there for that show as well, and you can register now for free. All you have to do is click on the link that we are dropping now if you're watching on LinkedIn, and use the code rAVEGIFT, and there you go. Bang, bang, boom. You get free access to the show floor. All you got to do is get yourself to the show. And then in terms of other things we have coming up, Almo's E4, right, Gary? That one's coming up. There's going to be one in Boston, 23rd. And one in DC. Yes.
Yep. I'll be in DC on September 23rd. I'm delivering the keynote for that. It's all about how building systems that are more experiential based will help bring Gen Z and millennials back to the office. My daughter's a millennial. She's not coming back to the office unless there's a reason for her to come back to the office. She wants to work in an environment that's more experiential rather than just sitting in a cubicle. And I think that's a big opportunity for our market, a huge opportunity.
Yeah.
And what's funny about that is that companies like Hayworth and Steelcase and others are trying to get into our market, and our integrators are being resistant to selling their products because they got burned 20 years ago when they tried to. So there's a great opportunity for us to sort of join a new segment of the market, or sort of embrace a new part of the market to help redesign these spaces.
Yeah. That'll be an exciting keynote. So I wish you all the best in that. And, you're around so many millennials and like Gen Zers every day. Like, you teach them. A lot of us are, millennials, Gen Z in the office. So you've got a pretty good handle on like the things that we want, because we say it all the time.
Well, when you have daughters that demand
Yeah,
then you have a better understanding of what they want.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
I love them. Hey, Annabelle, love you. I love you.
Continuing with the news. So this is pretty big. So the Shure Microflex ecosystem now integrates with Netgear's M4250 switches, that's pretty big for something in our industry, right, Gary?
So it's the AV line, and basically what this means is that they've significantly simplified and guaranteed connectivity constantly for the network integration of these products, which may seem like a minor thing, but if you remember back in the early days when control system companies would build modules specific for system gear, so that all you had to do is download this module, sort of like an API in a way, and it made everything work, so you didn't have to custom program it every single time. It's sort of analogous to that, but what we have two guests on today that can explain it a lot better than Gary can, and a lot better than most of us can. So let's bring them on. We got John Hinkle from Netgear, and we have Chris Lyons from Shure. So we got the two people that just put this deal together, from representing the companies that put this deal together. Chris, explain to me why this matters from the standpoint of, you're leading the way. Shure is leading the way with microarray systems in meeting rooms. What does this help with?
Well, one thing that we've been hearing from the get-go with networked audio is that one of the most time-consuming and frustrating parts of it was not the microphone itself, but was configuring the network. And, a lot of people are out there who don't understand VLANs and port configurations. And the ones that do say, look, I can do it. It's just time-consuming, and I have to do it over and over again in every room. Isn't there an easier way? And so Netgear was thinking about the same angle from the other direction, right, John?
Yep, absolutely. And it's really been a great partnership for over a year, really. We've been talking about how to make this thing easier. That's been our mantra for a couple of years now, as Gary certainly knows. And Gary, you've been explaining this perfectly, so you know what we're all about. It is making things easier from that AV GUI and our AV line switches with like a couple of clicks of setting this thing up. Now it's been a year behind the scenes with Shure to make sure that everything is set perfectly, and we discover those microphone arrays. And I think we even put a little Shure icon on the ports. So cool. Right away it's configured properly.
Yeah, and so the advantage here from a consumer standpoint, from a user standpoint, an IT manager standpoint, it's obvious. Like this is gonna ensure connectivity. It's gonna ensure your job security is on the line. Think about it, when something goes down on the network, they don't blame the brand. We don't blame Canon for making a bad copier. We don't blame Apple for building a bad computer when it goes off the network. We immediately call the network guy or lady, and we blame them. So what this does is bring job security to IT. But what it brings to the integrator community is a more seamless way to move from the old way of doing audio to the new way of doing audio, Chris. And I know that is part of the mantra of, sure, you're always ahead of the curve with regard to stuff like that. But I know it's also been a little tough because we're trying to sell a new way of doing something. So do you see this as sort of an on-ramp to help for that?
Yeah, we're trying to make this as easy as it can possibly be, and at the same time also more flexible, because different customers have different needs and different requirements. For some customers, it's all about, well, just connect the whole thing on one network and we're done. But some other customers are trying to segregate their network and keep Dante audio on one network and use another network for control, and they try to be really rigorous about that. So the Netgear switches even allow profiles to enable that too. So if you want to do a split network, that's as easy as a couple of mouse clicks.
I know that John, that Netgear promotes that there is no such thing as AV-IT convergence, that really a good way to do it is to build an AVN and have it separate. But what Chris is saying in this case is that it works either way. If you decide to put it all on one network, it's going to work on one network. If you decide to have a separate AVN, it's going to work that way as well. So will we see more of this kind of activity from Netgear and partnerships and APIs and connectivity compatibility?
Definitely. I mean, we've got, a couple hundred partners. We're the plumbing, right? We're the pipes in your home. Mm-hmm. So there's all kinds of faucets, if you will, that are out there. So Shure is a great example of that tight partnership, but you'll certainly see others. We have every piece of equipment we say we're certified with, we've tested or they've tested as well. So we make sure, and Shure was really holding us to the to the grindstone to make sure everything was in place and ready to go before we ever released anything. So they've been really good about that to ensure that things are right for you. And you'll certainly see more interactions like this, integrations. But I think this is a key example of empowering the AV people to go do your AV over IP setup. It's much, much easier now, and you can trust us.
And Chris, you know, Steph was nice enough to write a bunch of questions for me, and I feel like I'm ignoring her questions. But one question that she asked that I think is really important is, what was the testing process here to ensure this compatibility and going from? I mean, you can't have tested every possible application for this, or did you?
You know, the honest answer is I don't know. They don't let me near that because I would break it. But, you know, we test every scenario we can think of and stress test it, you know, and they do things like, what happens if you select this while you happen to be updating the firmware? Yeah. What happens if there are multiple devices on the network at the same time? You know, every possible scenario. We don't want the customer to be finding that one corner case where it doesn't work. So, you know, we're not only looking at the way people are going to do it 99% of the time, we spend a lot of time on that 1% of the time to figure out what could possibly make this go wrong, and then let's nail that down so it never happens.
Well, obviously the Microflex product line is very popular. It's innovative. If you don't know what we're talking about and haven't used it or spec'd it or heard about it, then you should check it out at shure.com, shure.com. Look at the Microflex link. It's easy to find. And definitely take some time to watch Chris's videos. He's got great personality with these things. Chris, I appreciate you joining us first, and second, I appreciate you being a sponsor and supporter of rAVe TV. This was an experiment for us 15, 16 months ago when we started, and now it's blown up to something really, really big and something that Steph and I look forward to every week. And John, thanks for joining us live. I think it's your second time being on here. And by the way, John, that Emmy's not fake in the background. He's an Emmy award-winning producer, worked on the Olympics back in 2004. Is that right? 2004. Yeah. And, you know, I'm not joking. I mean, there maybe a handful of people in our industry. I know a couple of people from Stewart Film Screen got Emmys. There's a handful of people in our industry that have Emmys. So congratulations. And thanks for the work that Netgear has done to help build our industry and help bridge our industry, I should say, into the network world. So thank you.
Thanks very much.
Guys. Appreciate it. Steph, you have your favorite blog of the week.
Yes, I do. So this is from Bob Snyder. Gary, I was really excited to talk to you about this because I just thought this was crazy. So you're familiar with Triplight? Yes, you know about this company?
Yep.
So how familiar with you are about the concept of like dark money?
Not familiar with it. You tell me.
Okay. So dark money is basically this idea where anyone can donate any amount of money to any political figure, and that does not get released. Like no one.
Yeah, that's correct. That's the biggest mistake that the Supreme Court ever made, in my opinion.
Right,
because companies unlimited donations, but people only a $2,500 donation.
Like any group, PAC, super PAC can donate any amount of money, and they don't have to report it. Right. Basically, is what that is. And so. Basically, the former CEO of Triplight, had donated the entire amount of money that was from Triplight, like I think for $40 million, $400 million or something, to a political group. And the New York Times found this out. And so now this is all over the news. What does this mean? And because you never want. It's a super conservative political group as well that this one other guy heads. So it's just kind of what does this mean? This can't be great for PR, especially since Triplight was just purchased last year, right?
Yeah, I think that the point of this is that our industry, although not mainstream, can fall into the mainstream world with weird stories that have nothing to do with what we do in the industry. Now, Triplight makes great products. They're a great company.
They do.
Yeah, and I feel bad for them because they're sort of in the spotlight. But at the same time, this shines a light on a weird kind of scenario. I don't want to get into the political side of it because the Supreme Court also made a mistake with right of eminent domain right around the same time. Those two things they did were kind of weird. And, regardless of which side in the political aisle you're on, the idea that a company can, or an individual inside of it through a company can donate as much money as they want, is problematic because now we have multi-billion-dollar campaigns rather than, sort of like grassroots campaigns. And I think anyone agrees with that, regardless of what political aisle you're on. But yeah, and Bob has an interesting perspective on this. He's an American living as an expat in another country, and he's he helped us start rAVe Europe, so he's got some interesting viewpoints on this. But you can
you can read it on rAVe Pubs. I was very wrong about the money. By the way, it was like 1.6 billion. I was like so much off.
1.6 billion is a lot of money there. Steph.
Yeah, that's like a lot of money. Yeah, so whatever. But
that's why it made the news, by the way.
That's why it made the
went
news
over $1 billion.
That's like an exorbitant amount of money to be like, oh yeah, we don't know where that came from. So yeah.
All right, so interesting. We have another guest we got to bring on here. And thanks to both Shure and Legrand, we bring you rAVe TV to you live every single week. And Ann, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Gary. How are you?
Doing great. So tell us what you do for Legrand. So those of you who don't know Ann, introduce yourself.
Sure. I'm product marketing manager for the Chief brand. So as you know, Legrand rAVe is a whole collection of brands, but I focus on Chief.
Yep. And Steph, ask away, because I don't want to step on your question.
No, you're fine. So you're talking today about a self-service tool that Chief has. So tell us what it does. I know it's made to like kind of speed up the designing and specifying process a little bit. Tell me more about it.
Absolutely. So this is focused on our tiled product line. And so that's direct view LED mounts. And you're absolutely right. It's a self-service tool that we had heard from customers for a long time that they really needed something to help visualize the installation, and also to get all of those outputs that they need to take to the installation, like DWG files, PDFs, layouts, drawings. So we worked really hard over the last year, and we've produced this tool that is not only self-serve, but on demand. So once you get your installation exactly as you like it, within minutes, you can have all of those outputs that I just listed off.
Very cool. So tell me a little bit about how like customization might work with this tool.
Yeah, so it's fully customizable, actually. So if you have an image of the room that you want to install the wall in, you can upload that. And then once you get the wall configured the way that you want it, and you've got your direct view LEDs layered on top of it, you can put your own content on there as well. So any sort of customized video or image, thinking logos or promotional videos, those can be put onto the direct view LEDs. And so when you deliver that vision to a customer, it's in their space, and it includes all of their logos.
Yeah, that's good. They're more likely to buy it because they already see what it can do rather than just seeing a bunch of black tiles, right? I mean,
yes,
absolutely.
Which is like unsurprising. Someone's gonna buy it once they can really visualize like how it looks in the space that they're imagining.
Yeah.
Can you get like a quote directly from this tool?
Absolutely. So you're all connected in with your Legrand rAVe login. So it will automatically generate quotes when you hit that button, automatically generate orders when you hit that button. So we've tried to make it as easy and seamless as possible for you to get from start to finish.
Very cool. And yes, you said when you're ready to buy, you can do it directly from there as well. That's awesome.
And so how do we get it?
So you go to legrandrave.com, and it's listed under tools. Okay. And we actually have a tutorial video as well. So, if you're a little timid about the technology, we have a video that steps you through exactly everything that you have to do. And then you just log in, and it's right there.
I see the next iteration of this having AR built into it, where you're able to open up your phone and open up the camera and see the product there. I think that's probably in the minds of the team over there at Legrand.
Yeah, we actually discussed it. It's a little bit ahead, but
oh yeah, but I think this is great. All these things are great because it helps our industry reach the consumer and have the consumer be okay with it, right? Because one of the things our stuff is not mainstream. We don't see this stuff advertised. You don't see this stuff around. So when you see this big dollar items from different brands out there, you're intimidated a little bit because you don't have any reference to what this stuff does behind the scenes. But so what you're doing is providing that reference and visualizing it for the customer. And I think this is great. Legrand's always, you're a glue company, right? You're a company that kind of pulls things together. And I think this is a great example of you sort of like pioneering something. And of course, other brands are going to copy it, but you pioneered it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, well, we're so excited, and it makes us so happy when we can deliver on a promise to our customers. Especially
imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. So when it gets copied, just think about that. But remember, you're the original, so you should put the original. The OG.
The original. Yes. Oh my gosh. And for those of us who are watching on LinkedIn, we are dropping a link so that y'all can go check that out as well.
Check it out, use it, play around with it, and congratulations. Thanks again for supporting all that we do at here at rAVe and at the shows and things like that. And well, hopefully we'll see you if not at CEDIA, we'll definitely see you at one of these upcoming shows that we have going on. So thanks for joining us, Ann. I appreciate it.
Yes, and thank you for supporting us as well. And maybe I'll see you at the Minnesota State Fair when you get those cookies.
Are you going Friday?
I don't know. We'll see.
Come join us on Friday.
I'm not going to go, but I might go.
Come on. Okay, you got to join us on. I'm dropping my mobile number into the chat here.
Okay.
I want you to come over and eat some cookies with us.
I don't know if you saw my little anecdote, but there was a severe thunderstorm at the fair this weekend, and people were still lined up in that thunderstorm for those cookies. There was a huge line.
I'm telling you. It's giant. It's bigger than fried pickles and Oreos. It's a big thing. So, and you got to come join us.
Okay.
On Friday. Come on by. You can come by. You can enjoy the victory over Ohio State and have some cookies with it.
Awesome. Well, thank you for the invitation too.
All right, I'm expecting a text. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So, Steph, you got a story about Barco, right?
Yeah, so Igloo Vision and Barco are kind of partnering together to develop these immersive workspaces, which is something Igloo's been working on with a couple of different companies. But this is the first time I've seen that they're working with like Barco hardware. So immersive workspaces are kind of a new idea in our industry, kind of this idea of like, oh, it needs to be more than just a display on a wall and a microphone. It's kind of like this really idea to like immerse you into your work, which kind of seems like what you were talking a little bit about earlier, Gary, where it was like, this is what millennials want. They don't just want to sit in like an ugly cubicle all day and like, you know, mess around on Excel. Like this is like for people who really need to like immerse themselves into like a creative workspace. In
creative, the best way to sort of really actually produce something is a process called design thinking, right? And if you look at that image if Carol put that image back up, this thing is like the ultimate dream for a team leader in design thinking, right? To be able to collaborate that way in the ideation phase. Now you got to do the first phase, the first two steps first, empathy and define. But in the ideation phase, this thing is awesome. So this is the future of those types of applications. And I also see this solving problem. Like think about it from, Chris Lyons from Sherwood will love this as well. Think about from a meeting room environment, right? Where you're able to surround the room with people that are on remotely and you see them in a different perspective. Cause that stepchild of the meeting all of a sudden doesn't become a stepchild anymore when they're as big as you on the wall next to you. So I think that this is the future and Barco and Igloo can pull this off. And Igloo's work with other brands too, but Barco is obviously looking at the meeting room market as a leader from the ClickShare product line, which is, a partner product of Shure's as well. But anyway, we got other stories out there. So Steph, take it away.
Okay.
I don't want to.
No, you're fine. Next, an Audinate story. So this is the Dante domain manager, like V1.4. So this is to support PTZ cameras, HDMI encoders and decoders, and the Dante Studio video tools. It's basically like the domain manager is supposed to secure your Dante networks by enforcing like user authentication and things like that. So just, making it a little bit more.
And compatibility.
Yep. So security, compatibility, those two things. Blackbox is now a Zoom phone certified integrator, which, basically means that they're bringing Zoom's video communications platform and cloud system to its market. So a lot of teamwork stories today, which is exciting. Another one I added was from Squirrels. So this was like our little home story, kind of getting us excited for CEDIA coming up. And this is just a new iOS or iPad.
This is an
OS
app-based
yeah,
wireless sharing product, not a hardware-based. And they have kind of an interesting solution for mirroring that is compatible with iOS and Chrome. They've done an update on it, and I'm excited to see it. I mean, it's not prime time for the commercial market, but for resi-commercial, as you called it, I think it's great. And
I just think sometimes regular like screen sharing or AirPlay can be just sort of unreliable.
Yeah.
So any super like reliable screen mirroring solution, I'm going to be interested in. Yeah.
So we have what about that Immersive Aquarium in Charlotte?
That's so cool. Yeah, so they partnered with this company called Art Glass, and it's basically like the world's first aquarium tour that includes wearable augmented reality. So as you can see in the picture, there's a kid kind of like holding this like tablet up, and it'll give you facts about like the things that it like sees. So like say it goes over like a sea anemone, it'll give you a fact about a sea anemone, or say you go over to this thing, it'll give you a fact about this display. So I think that's cool. That's like a really neat way to incorporate our technology
into immersion experiences, right? Immersive experiences. This is the future. It's why I'm doing the keynote for the Alamo E4 on September 23rd and October 20th. So look, this has been rAVe TV. This is Gary K. Steph Beckett. We really appreciate y'all watching every Wednesday at noon. We come to you live. And thanks to our producer in the background, Carrie, for pulling this off today. Everything is great, and y'all have a great day.
It's the weekly show about rAVe with the hottest news in the AV industry. It's rAVe TV. Give it up for Steph and Gary. Steph and Gary.